Hey guys, we'll try something a bit different this time around. Something that a user had suggested that I do, and I kind of like the idea, and so I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to call this The Guns I Know. And what the point of this is that during these gun videos that I do, these comparison videos where I compare the Battlefield game versus real life, I get a lot of gun questions. Some very general, like, what does the recoil feel like? How does it really sound? Why don't you get a better mic? Things like that. But on occasion, and actually quite often, at least a half a dozen to a dozen times per video, I get really more technical questions about how a gun operates, or for instance, how is it different from another type of gun in real life, other things of that nature. And so what I wanted to do tonight is show you a few guns that I have. These aren't all the guns that I have. That would be spoiling everything, and we don't want to spoil our meal. Instead, I want to show a few of these guns that I have, and then I want you to ask me questions about some of these guns that you may have that maybe I can answer. And if I can't answer them, then I can try my best to research them and get you an answer that is hopefully suitable. Not to say that I have all the answers. I am just a hobbyist, and as such, it's all research, and I'm not some tactical operator or ex-military or anything around those lines. I am just a gun hobbyist, an enthusiast, if you will, who reads a lot and enjoys reading about and talking about and other things of that nature. So let's get started. I have 5 guns here, and what I'd like to do is make this 5 guns per video. Some guns you'll recognize, some guns you won't recognize. And that's what I like to do. I want to sort of mix it up, show some guns that are in Battlefield 3 right now, some that aren't, but perhaps in the future, some of these guns will be in further expansions, and I really hope that they do. And so the first one that I have is a Rock Island 1911. This Rock Island 1911 is sort of the bargain barrel 1911s that you can buy here in the U.S. I want to say Rock Island Armory is made they're in the Philippines, but I could be mistaken. Someone can fact check me on that. It's chambered in 45 ACP, and this is just a sort of a standard 1911. 1911s used to only come in a few flavors up until about 20 years ago, and then they really started exploding anywhere from concealed carry 1911s. In fact, I actually have a American Rifleman magazine here where there's an advertisement from Kimber, and they have concealed carry 1911s. If you can see that, they have a sort of a subcompact length, so if you want to carry them concealed, you can do that. Now, I don't carry a 1911 concealed or otherwise, but it's sort of a neat gun, and it's a big round. This is the round that it looks like, and I'm not going to zoom in. You can Google search a comparison picture if you want to do that. But this is a 45 ACP round, a pistol caliber round. These 2 rounds are 5.45 by 39 and 5.56 by 45, and which is for the AK-74. AK-74U, and for the M16s and a few other guns out there. So look how small they are in difference. These rifle caliber cartridges, they have really tiny projectiles. This one has a big fat projectile. Not to say that one's more powerful than the other. Actually, the velocity differences are actually quite substantial. The 45, depending on what load you're going to be using, rarely goes supersonic, so it always stays subsonic. And so if you ever want to run a suppressor, 45 is actually a really good choice because it doesn't break that sound barrier, and as such, the suppressor can be much more effective with it, whereas common rifle calibers, such as these 2 that I mentioned, or a 308, 7.6 by 51 NATO, they all break that sound barrier. What else do I have with me? I have 1911s in the game, we know that, but here's one that's not in the game, an FNFAL. Not in the game. It's a 308, 7.62 by 51 NATO. There are differences between the 2, although minute. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm going to use the term interchangeably. FNFALs, these are fun guns. They're originally made in Belgium. This one is made off of an Austrian parts kit, off of a Brazilian receiver. Doesn't that say something about multiculturalism? The FNFAL has also been known to be called the right arm of the free world, or right hand of the free world. I'm going to butcher that. You can look that up too. The reason being is that there are a lot of countries that were part of NATO and otherwise that utilize the FNFAL for their main battle rifle. It's chambered in .308, which is the same caliber that the 700 Remington, I think it's called the M98 in game, although I may be confusing it with the 50 cal, but also the G3, which is over here, and it's really neat. It uses a short stroke piston system, so that when the gas comes out, a piston is activated and moves the bolt carrier back, but it has a spring to keep it in place, as opposed to a long stroke piston system, which is what the AK uses. It has a little bipod. That's kind of cool. This one's semi-auto, but they also come in full auto. But .308 is really, really hard to manage with battle rifles, as we saw in game with a G3 going full auto. Even though it looks so easy, it's not. So this is a really cool gun. I really enjoy shooting this gun. This is my favorite .308 gun that I have. I really hope they put it into the game. We'll see how it goes. There you go. This one you guys will know, and I haven't done a video of this one just yet, but you'll recognize this one. This one is a AKS-74U crank, again in semi-auto. I got a red dot sight on it because that's what I like to rock with. This one is a short-barreled rifle, which means it's a registered Title II firearm. It means I got to do a bunch of extra paperwork for it in order to get this. It's chambered in 5.45 by 39, which is this little caliber right here. I'm rocking the orange magazine because it looks cool, and I like the orange on it. And this gun, you don't see them that often in the U.S. You see a lot of these ones that look like this and chambered in 5.56 or 7.2 but true 5.45 guns, not so much. This one in particular is a Bulgarian kit built on a U.S. receiver. You can also get Russian ones, although they're a bit more expensive. I've put a lot of rounds through this, and it's showing a little bit of a wear, but it's a fun gun to shoot. It's really snappy, but this booster or this muzzle brake certainly mitigates that, and it's a lot of fun. I actually have done several videos, or at least filmed a bunch of videos with this, but I haven't just made one yet. I got to get to it. Let's go to a gun that is not in the game as well. This one. This is a Galil SAR, another short-barreled rifle, Title II registered weapon with the ATF. It is a subcompact version of the Galil ARM or Galil AR. It's an Israeli gun. So for those that want to hate on Jews, you're going to hate on me for this, because this is the origins of this gun are actually very interesting, because the AK-47 in its original incarnation in the 40s and 50s was a milled gun. It made out of a milled piece of steel as opposed to stamped and folded accordingly. The Russians eventually sold the rights to that gun to the Finnish military, Finland. They made the Valmet or the Valmet, although I think it's Valmet. I actually never heard someone actually mention it explicitly, but I've heard it called a few different things. The Valmet is a milled gun like this one, and it uses a long stroke gas piston just like an AK. It's sort of a heavier built AK-47. Then, when the Israeli military was switching from the FNFAL, that gun, to their new rifle during the 1970s, they had a competition, and in the end, they chose a variant of the Finnish Valmet rifle, and it eventually became the Galil. And so it's sort of a third generation AK from the 1940s. It has a lot of the cool improvements on it that make it really neat. It's got a really, really advanced sight system, much more similar to what you'd see on an AR-15 than on an AK. It's got different windages. It's got night sights. That's kind of cool. It's got a shrouded front sight. It has sort of a muzzle brake that is very similar to what you'd see on an AR-15. It's got these really cool wood handguards that I refinished. Really tight magazine. It's also, unlike other AKs, it has a finger safety. Now I'm left-handed, so it's not much help to me. But if I was, for instance, right-handed, and I wanted to to move it back, I do this right, I could move it up by having my hand here, put my thumb, and I can change the positions accordingly. That's kind of neat. And it's got also a folding stock, and this folding stock is brand new, and so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it up. I don't think so. We'll give it, let me just give one more little push on here. There we go. And it folds into place. It's like the AK-74U. It folds into place, really compact. You may actually recognize this gun. It was featured a lot in District 9, which was, you know, sort of a South African Joburg sort of movie landscape. And the reason why it was featured so much is that the Israelis sold the rights to the South Africans, and South Africans made their own version of this gun as well, which is why it's so prevalent in that movie. It's done in South Africa. Stock locks back real quick. It's a really cool gun, and I hope to see this in the engineering class in the future because it's sort of a heavier. It's a heavier than an AK-74U. It's a bit longer. So I'd love to see this maybe as an engineering class gun, maybe a bit more range than the AK-74U, maybe a bit more damage, maybe a bit more recoil control because it's a much heavier gun. I don't know. You know, dice can do what they do, but I'd love to see this gun in the game in the future. Finally, we have the G3. Oh, you've seen this video of me doing it with the stupid voice. This is not a G3 in the exact definition of the word. This is a semi-automatic clone of a G3 called a PTR 91. It is interesting history about the PTR 91. A company called JLD in the late 90s had brought in a bunch of tooling to make these kind of guns, and they bought it from Portugal, and they imported in, and they started building these guns in the U.S. So no dealing with 922R compliance, no dealing with import restrictions or barrel bans or anything around those lines. They could make these guns 100% in the U.S., and that's what they've been doing. And so Portugal had acquired the rights to HK tooling decades ago. They bought it from H&K long time ago from Germany, but eventually they stopped using the H&K guns, and as such, JLD bought them and brought them over. And so this is you see this gunning game, and it's really good accuracy, and a lot of guys like to use this. It's a pretty fun gun to shoot in real life, and as you saw in my video, it's sort of a cannon, to say the least. I've added things like a carrying handle and a little bipod and things like that, and it's okay. I mean, I can sort of, I don't want to mess around my other gun. I have to sort of put it down and, and just kind of go from there. Ergonomics suck on it, but that's okay. It's sort of a neat gun. It's fun to shoot, and it'll chew through anything. It's really good at going through a lot of different types of ammo. And the FNFAL is actually pretty good at that too, but for entirely different reasons. The FNFAL has a adjustable gas system right here. And what you can do is that if a given type of ammunition is underpowered or overpowered, you can open up or alternatively close down the gas system so that it can more reliably operate the action as it fires. So I don't know. I want this to be a brief overview, and it turned into a long overview. And so what I'm going to ask is this: is that if you have any questions about these guns, you want to know a little more history about them, or know how they shoot, or the mechanics of it, maybe take it apart, or what have you, I can do that. It's not a big deal. So all that being said, shoot me some questions, and I want to ask you guys one more thing. So out of these 5 guns, I'll bring one of these guns back to go into more detail with. And so if you want to see one of these guns be featured more or be described in a lot more detail, make a comment. And then if you see someone who's made a comment on the gun that you want, give it an upvote. And then whatever the most popular one is on the YouTube comments, I'll choose it and bring that one back. And at the same time, bring 4 new guns. So that being said, thanks for tuning in. And I'll be doing this in the next coming weeks. So see you later.